Greetings. My name's John Pedersen. I'm the superintendent at the new Underwood School, and today we're going to film another session of It's Your School. My guest today is a junior, so I guess that puts him a graduate of 2016. Is that right, Wyatt?
Sure does.
We've got Wyatt Bills, who's here today, and we're going to get to know Wyatt a little bit better in the next 10 minutes. So with that said, Wyatt, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, as you said, I'm a junior at New Underwood High School, and I try to involve myself with as many activities through the school as possible. I've played basketball for a number of years, but due to my recent surgeries I've had, my knees kind of gave out on me this most recent year, so I've went into a managerial role, and I'm planning on managing track this year, and I'm in the drama department. I'm going to be in the most recent play. So.
You know, Wyatt, it's kind of interesting because I've done many podcasts before. This is probably my third or fourth year at New Underwood, but last year in my role as superintendent in Custer, I did quite a few down there, and I've done some before. You know, and I'm going to say this on film, that I'm excited about this one. I have no notes, I have no thoughts as to what I'm going to talk about, but every once in a while, I think a student sets an example for an adult. And so in this case, I think I'm going to say that you set an example for me. And with that said, I'm always impressed with your positive attitude. I don't know how you do it, young man, but you do it. So before we get into more specifics, though, tell us a little bit about the schedule that you carry. What courses are you taking, Wyatt?
Well, as far as the courses I have, first period is history, second period is English, third period I have desktop publishing, and then a couple study halls, and then algebra, physics, and my last period is history.
Okay, all right. You know, it's probably not important to get into favorites, but which class or what two classes do you enjoy the most?
I would probably prefer psychology right now, just because not only is it a fun class, but it also challenges you a little bit and lets you come up with your own decisions and use your knowledge to apply that into whatever situation it is. And I kind of like that, being able to express yourself and use your creativity to do better.
Now, Wyatt, you're going to graduate in well, I was going to say year and a half, but it's not even a year and a half, is it? It's probably 13, 14 months. What do you plan on doing when you graduate from high school?
After high school, I plan on attending college to become a sports broadcaster, and hopefully I would be able to extend that into even portions of like ESPN and stuff like that. And I know that's shooting high, but hey, you gotta shoot high, you know? You
gotta set goals, don't you?
Yep.
You know, it's interesting, I was a part of the peer school for a while, and there was a young man there, his name was Tyler Merriman, and Tyler was just like you. He said he wanted to get into broadcasting. I think right now, he's the head of broadcasting for SDSU in Brookings. He broadcasts all the football games for SDSU as well as the basketball games. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with setting some goals. You know, Wyatt, another thing that makes you, I think, unique is some of the physical challenges that you have. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of those physical challenges that you've had in your life?
Yeah, I was born with cerebral palsy, and what that is it's lack of oxygen to a certain area of your brain that controls your motor functions, and once that gets not enough oxygen that it needs, it can it can have a negative effect on your muscle control, and that causes your cerebral palsy. And due to this, I've had 14 surgeries throughout the course of my life. I am 17 years old right now, and my first one was when I was 5 years old. So that's about 1 to 2 surgeries a year, roughly, so far. And those are major and minor. The minor ones can range from just 2 weeks recovery, and the major ones several months. So, but the people that you meet through the challenges that this can give you are some of the best people that you'll know in your lifetime. Like the people that work at the Shriners Hospital, which have done all of my surgeries, are some of the greatest people you'll every meet just because they have such a respect and take so seriously what they do and care so much about the kids that makes me feel good. So.
You mentioned the Shriners, that's where all of your surgeries have been, Wyatt?
Mm-hmm.
Where at? What city?
The Shriners Hospital in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Okay, that's a long ways to go.
Yeah,
Huh?
about 300 miles there and 300 miles back.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, at least. You know, you mentioned you had several surgeries. Which one was the most difficult? Which one was the toughest?
The biggest one, I wouldn't say it was the toughest one because I was so young, but that was probably the very first one I had, which was a selective dorsal rhizotomy.
Wow, what was that again?
A selective dorsal rhizotomy.
Wow, okay.
And that was when I was 5 years old, and that's basically the reconstruction of the nerves along your spinal cord.
Yeah.
And that one was a several month recovery. I spent 6 weeks in the hospital itself, but as far as a full recovery, I was not fully recovered for about a year.
Okay.
But the reason why I said it wasn't probably the most dramatic was because I was so young, and when you're a kid, you know everything's a new adventure, and I guess that was just one of them.
Okay. How about the most recent one that you've had? When was the last surgery, Wyatt?
The most recent one was just before this last summer, and that one was the reconstruction of both of my knees. I was knock-kneed heavily in both knees, which means you would walk with your knees pointing inward when they should be lined up. So the last surgery I had was the reconstruction of that.
Okay. Now, Wyatt, you're a junior and you played basketball up through your sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
Was that difficult?
It was very difficult, and that's probably the reason why I've stepped into a manager role, because the impact it has had on my knees and all the stuff that goes on due to my cerebral palsy made it a lot harder than it should be. Plus, it was a lot of time out of your schedule to be with your family and whatnot. So.
Sure. Now listen, you're kind of scooting away from me. I got to get you back
All
over
right.
here, young man.
All right.
And maybe they still got you. But let's talk about your family. I know you're a twin, but let's talk about your family.
Okay, well, I am a twin. County Bills is my twin sister, and she's in the same class as I am. And I also have 2 older brothers that are out of high school, Tyler and Riley Walker. And Riley is in the military right now, and Tyler is an architect. My father is Roger Bills, and he works in the construction field as well as ranching. And my mother is Tammy Bills, and she works with base housing.
Okay. And you folks live south of town here?
Yep, just 5 miles south of town.
Now, are you a rancher or are you a farmer?
Well, we ranch. we work with cattle, so
Okay.
that's what we've done for several years. My grandpa started the ranch when he was a little older than myself. So.
Okay. Okay. Would you ever want to be a rancher?
I would, but it's a lot of physical labor.
Sure.
And because of my cerebral palsy, my parents are really pushing the issue of getting a good education and using your mind instead of your body to make your living.
Yeah. You know, Wyatt, we've got an older building here. In fact, right now we're on the 2nd floor. Is that a challenge for you, the multi-level school?
The stairs in the school have been a challenge at times due to the fact of maybe I'm recovering at one point in time, or something has come up and I'm not feeling all that well that particular day. But as far as is it very difficult, no, I've overcome much worse. So, and I've been taught that, like, no matter what the obstacle is, you can get over it. So I guess the stairs are just one of those.
Sure. You know, we're a small school, and everybody knows everybody. Most of the students are pretty proud to go to New Underwood. What do you think of the small school?
I love the small school atmosphere due to the fact that, like you said, everybody knows everybody, and you can get personal relationships with almost everybody, including the teachers, which is very important in my opinion, because you can actually have a little one-on-one time with your teachers, and they can teach you a little more than in a bigger school.
Sure.
So.
You know, Wyatt, we try to keep this to 10 minutes, and I think that we've accomplished that. It wasn't difficult. I think I could probably talk to you for another 10, but I'm gonna cut this thing short. And I want you to know that, as I think I said earlier, that sometimes we adults can learn from younger people, and I've learned a lot from you, young man. I so respect your attitude and the positive outlook that you have on life, and I wish you well, and you take care of yourself, okay?
You do the same.
Thanks.